So I'm going to keep this photo up just in case you need to refer to it. You should know what your pattern pieces are, but you might need to keep looking back to the photo because your photo should have the labels on it if you've been doing your pattern pieces correctly. The sewing tool is over here in the toolbar for the 2D pattern window. There's a few different ways that you can do it. Let's just use the free sewing tool to begin with. So we'll click on that and let's do the side seams. So this is your two front pieces and this is your back piece. So you know that this side seam, let's zoom in so we're making this clear. This side seam needs to be sewn to this side seam. So we're going to click the top of the side seam at the very top point, and I'm going to sort of trail my mouse down to the bottom, to that bottom point. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go over here to the other side seam and I'm going to do the same thing. And you have to do it in the same direction. So I'm starting at the top and I'm going down to the bottom. I'm clicking on that. And because we've got symmetrical linked editing on, it automatically does it to that other side seam. Okay, let's do the shoulder seams. So we're going to start here on the back piece. We're going to go from the neck to the shoulder point. So I'm going to click down there, trail my mouse along to the next point, click down. And then over here on the front, I'm starting at the neck again, clicking down, trailing over to the top of the shoulder, clicking down. It's done it on the other side for us. And then with the sleeve, we know that this part of the sleeve gets sewn to this part of the sleeve. So we'll start here at the top, trail the mouse, go over here to the other side, click down, trail the mouse, and I'll do that on the other sleeve. And then here where it gets a slightly more fiddly is we want to do the sleeve into the armhole. So we're going to use a slightly different tool for this. We're going to use the free sewing tool. And this is because I want to sew this pattern. This seam goes into two different patterns. So I'm going to click on the far edge of the the sleeve head. I'm going to trail it all the way across to the other part of the sleeve head and click down, and then I'm going to press enter. This is an important part. Press enter. And then I'm going to click here, which is where this part would be joined to. So that point would be joined to this point. So I'm clicking down on that. And I'm going all the way up to the top of the armhole and I'm clicking down. And then as if we're continuing, I'm going over here to the top of the armhole on the back. I'm clicking down, I'm trailing all the way around, clicking down, and then I'm pressing enter. And that means that that part of the armhole gets sewn to here, and this part of that armhole gets sewn to here. Okay, what else needs to be joined up? We'll have to do something similar for the collar. So that's the center back of the collar, that's the center back of the garment. So we can go from the center back here to the edge of the collar, press enter, and then we're going to go to the center back of the neckline, right to the edge, click down, and then that continues on the front here, right to the front here. I'm going to click down and then we're going to press enter. Okay, and I'm going to just start sewing up the rest of the garment. So I know that this is the cuff. So I'll put that beneath the sleeve and I'm going to sew those two together. Actually, I can show you a different kind of sewing tool for this. So this sewing tool up here, where it's a straight line, segment sewing, you can just click on the line. So here, I just click on that once and it takes the whole thing. And I want it to be sewn to this straight line here. So I can click on that once. And that should sew that together. And then I also have a waistband. This one. I'll need to be done with the free sewing, this sort of continuous free sewing tool, because the waistband will be sewn to the front of here, also the back. So we can click on the top of the waistband all the way across and press enter. And that would be sewn to this part of the front and this part of the back. and then press enter. Also, let's just move that waistband down so it makes sense. It's good, it's really helps to have things in places that make sense. So we know that that waistband is being sewn to the hem of the front and the back. The waistband here is in two parts, so we need to make sure that that center back of the waistband is joined to the other center back of the waistband. So I'm going to use this sewing tool, the segment sewing tool, because it's just two straight lines that are being joined to each other. I'm going to click here, and you're going to make sure that that little marker is at the top. You see the sort of little crossbar that needs to go this way, so the other one is upright, so that it gets sewn together properly, and not that way. It'll be twisted. You can see it with the dotted lines. It needs to be this way. Okay, and then I also have a few things that are like pockets and little straps, but I think I'll come to them later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take them out of the equation by selecting them all. Let's just put them right up here out of the way. We can come back to those later. Okay. And I'm going to drag and highlight all of them and right click, and I'm going to deactivate pattern and sewing. So it needs to be the sewing as well, so that you don't start sewing it to other stuff. Deactivate pattern sewing.